Hi, I'm Robert Gifford with Geek Chic. Many of you know me, I own the company. And I wanted to do a little brief discussion about why waiting is the hardest part, and why we choose to make you wait, and why you want us to make you wait. I'm going to be a geek a bit, I'm going to go into some geeky things, but that's part of who we are, and that's part of how this works. So I've got a diagram up here that I'm going to use. Yes, it's a diagram, but it illustrates the problem. Many of you have heard of this problem before. It's a trilemma, which is that you can choose one or two of these competing interests and they actively work against each other. And many of you have heard of this concept before. Often in cheap, fast, or good, pick any two. We look at it as being something slightly different. We use some fancier words, but we think of it as time, quality, and cost, and pick any two. Now, at Geek Chic, we choose quality. We choose quality because that's what makes us who we are. And that's the reason that you bought your furniture, and we are unwavering in our commitment to this concept. Quality is what defines us. The next thing that we do is we make an assumption. We make an assumption that you want us to protect your interests in terms of cost. And so to do that, we are constantly striving to make sure that our furniture is accessible to not just an ultra-rich demographic, but instead to people that are regular folks who have regular jobs and have regular houses, and that's who we by and large are. And so we want to make custom furniture, or custom heirloom quality furniture, something that is accessible to as many people as possible. Now, normally a custom heirloom quality house would be well above what our cost is, but they're doing that for a number of reasons. We can get to that later. The other thing is time, though, and that's what there's a waiting thing comes in. Now, we give you, when we give you an estimate based on your first and beginning order, we tell you about when we think it's going to be able to come through the queue. Now, that's got a lot of different things that go on with it, about when the manufacturing group will have it to be able to push into the manufacturing queue, whether it will go through that manufacturing queue in the kind of regular pace without any kind of hiccup or any kind of problem inside of that time span, and then when it will get onto a truck, because we do all real deliveries and we deliver to you, and be able to be delivered to you at your house. Now, there's a lot of different interfacing options, and there's a lot of problems that go along there, but in our effort to remember this, we're going to give you the highest quality product we possibly can. And we're going to try and minimize the cost. What that does is it lets time run away from us. It lets time be the one thing that we have to let it be what it is. Now, to give you an example of how we could fix this, how we could give you an absolute deadline, an absolute time, and say it's going to happen at this point, by negotiating on one of these other two items, is we could say it's not as important that we commit to this quality, that if there's something that comes through that's not up to our standards, we can just push it out the door, and there's not going to be any kind of problem with that. We don't have to slow down our process, go back, make sure that it is a perfect piece, and therefore lose that time. Or, alternately, we could charge more money. Now, this is what most companies do. Most companies and most custom houses, they just charge you more money. They charge you about twice. Now, if we were able to charge you twice the cost of this, of what we normally do, well, then we would have extra money to be able to spend on the resources to make sure that we met our deadlines. If we fell behind for any number of reasons, we could pay people to stay for an extra 4 hours, or give them 4 hours of overtime so that they would stay and they would continue to work to be able to catch up the time. But that's an enormous cost. Or we could buy more machines, or we could buy more vans so that we could get those things out the door and to you on a timely basis. But we don't. And in fact, most companies prioritize cost, and they don't prioritize it for you. They prioritize it for them. And usually what they do is they charge you that double amount. They charge you that amount. And then, if they miss their time, they don't spend the extra money mainly getting that timeline fixed. And in fact, they then say, well, we missed our deadline. Boy, mea culpa, I'm so sorry. Here's some money back. Some of that money that we overcharged you, we'll give you that back. Or we'll give you this thing, or we'll give you that thing. And in fact, we're kind of accustomed to it. I'm accustomed to it. I understand that that's the way the business works these days. But I'm not positive that that's not the patronizing, terrible way to do business. I think that what we really want to do is we want to be honest with our customers. We want to give them the real picture of what we're trying to accomplish, give you guys the tools to understand what we're doing, and to basically say, we're here, we're doing this for you. We're trying to, of course, hit those timelines. You know, it doesn't help us to not hit those timelines. We're trying to do that as much as we possibly can. But we have to do it in a framework where we start here. And this is our next consideration. And our final consideration will be time, not at the expenditure of these other two items. We can only influence it to a certain extent in timeline because we are already prioritizing the quality of the furniture and the cost of that furniture to our end user. So that's one of the ways that basically this works out. There's a lot of different aspects to it, but it's pretty simple, pretty easy, and I think that we're going to come up with some more ways to communicate to you about how the whole process works and what all the different aspects of it work, so that you can understand if your piece ends up being late, which it does for Geek Chic, and it has been kind of consistently been being late, mostly because you guys are just absolutely, unbelievably ravenous in your appetite for our product, which is great. I mean, worst problems in the world to have, but you know, we started out as a couple of guys, and we grew up into a much larger operation. You know, we've got a lot of people working here now, and we had to train a lot of people, and we had to move to a lot of spaces in a very short amount of time to be able to just get you the furniture that you're ordering. And we thank you for being patient. We thank you for making Geek Chic and really buying into what that means, because we believe it with all our hearts, and we knew that there'd be people out there just like you who believed it like us. But we want to be able to do it inside of the bounds of this kind of engineering reality. So I hope that answers some questions. I hope that I can give you some more information down the road that will be more helpful and more illuminating of the interior of how the Geek Chic operation works. And this is the first of many, hopefully. So thank you, and good night.